welcome back to Dinner for Two. I'm Stanley.
Hi, and I'm Cathy, and we're talking to you today about the marriage reset. Vision, boundaries, and real connection.
All right. All of those are important.
Yeah. I like the idea of the reset. Just the idea of a reset. Reset just sounds like push the button to start over. Yeah. I like it. So resetting your marriage without starting over. What does that mean?
Well, reset is different than starting over.
Okay.
Because reset just means you maybe need to retool, may need to reevaluate. A lot of times you just need to, like we said, you need to check your why again and find out why it is that we're still doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so that's different than a whole reboot, because a reboot, you're throwing things away and you're starting over, and that may not be necessary with a reset.
Yeah, I think reset too. When I'm thinking about resetting your marriage, I'm thinking about how you can kind of refresh it. Because often, like you said, we'll use the computer analogy since you brought it up. But if you can refresh, and then things show up that you didn't see before the refresh. So when you have an opportunity when you go through life is just lifing, and things are happening, and you're communicating on a surface level that we talked about before with the communication one. You're communicating about the business of the marriage, the things that keep the house from crumbling down, and make sure that people are fed and all the basic needs are met. When you're going through that, a lot of times you get into this routine that becomes very surface.
Right.
You get into a routine where it's not a problem. You're not working through problems, but you're not working on your intimacy. You're not working on your connectedness. You're working on managing the day-to-day life of your relationship. And when you're doing that, you can get into this space of feeling like, no, everything's great. Everything is wonderful. The kids are picked up, the dog is fed, the bills are paid. And those are all things that are outside of relationship.
Right.
Those are things that you would do in any roommate situation. So it's a little bit different. So when we talk about resetting, I'm thinking about, how do you honor what you've built while making room for new growth? Like when you reset, you look at where people are in this season, and their needs may have changed. Your needs probably have changed, and the things that you're dealing with are different.
Right.
So when we talk about a reset, we're talking about looking at where you are today, and then building the relationship around that, and having it fluid enough that it can ride those waves, ride those ebbs and flows, that you really are refreshing it in a way that keeps everything current and gets you off of that surface level.
Right. And I was thinking, as you were talking about nourishing your relationship, like you can get food that satisfies you, but then you get food also that nourishes you. And so sometimes with the surface level conversations you're having every day, the relationship is not really being fed with anything that's going to nourish you long term. So you got to make sure that you're getting good food every day, in addition to all of the other things that you're doing that's keeping the house running. All of those things are important, but you need to be feeding your relationship also.
Yeah. I think too, when we start thinking about this, when a reset, any kind of a reset, or it's requiring you to be honest about where you are right now too, and look at today, not where you were years ago.
Right.
And when we don't take the time to refresh, we don't take the time to reset, then we still are operating with the person and the things and the needs that were there when you started.
Right.
And so often as we mature, those things change, our desires change. And that's one thing that people are often afraid to talk about. But there's some things that I don't like anymore that I liked at one time, or some things, or things that are more important now than they were before.
Right.
And we have to be able to look at our relationship and say, where in here have those things changed? Where in here are those things happening? And how then do we live current? We live in where we are right this minute. And that sometimes comes with redefining your roles. Sometimes it comes with protecting your spaces a little bit differently. I know at one point I was like, hey, everybody come to the house. I don't care. I like it. Everybody come. But sometimes now I have to protect some space and some peace sometimes and say, everybody can't be here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have our den meetings at the house all the time. My girlfriends and I, we had our den meetings. And when we would have den meetings, our house was the place. That's where we met. That's where we met to have the den meetings. And it was nothing but us sitting around and eating and talking.
Right.
Nothing at all, nothing major or whatever. And that was our space to decompress. But now there's a need for us to rotate these den meetings because I don't always want to be responsible. Your schedule's a little bit different now. So it makes it difficult, or it makes it important for me to be mindful of the season that we're in now and what it took for me to prepare for a den meeting before. I don't want to do that all the time.
Well, and then one of the notes here also was about making room for new growth.
Mm-hmm.
So transitioning from working for 30 years into doing the new thing, then that's going to be a new learning curve. There are going to be some things that have to change. Home more than you were in the past. So
Yes.
a lot of things are actually transpiring, and all of those things you need to have a conversation about because they're not happening in isolation.
Yes.
They're happening in your life. And so talk about those things and what that looks like now, and then what does that look like for us going forward. So have those conversations, those serious conversations that we talked about before. Have those serious conversations so that you can make sure that you're moving through and the relationship is continuing to thrive.
Yeah, the shift is real too, because
Yes.
I had a client the other day, one of my coaching clients, and she came in because I have a office, I have a home office, and my coaching client came in, and when she came in, it was just like, you're normally not here when I have, but you were home. But then what you did is you made the adjustment. You were like, okay, I'm going to leave. I'm gone. And it's not that there's not plenty of space. It's plenty of space. You wouldn't have been involved anyway, but you made the adjustment because that time of day, you would have normally not been there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would have normally not been there.
Right.
It would not have been a situation where that would have been something that we needed to even consider. But we had to take time to say, I want my client to feel safe. I want my client to be able to be honest and vulnerable and share. And I don't want you in her business, or whatever. So with that being the case, you made the adjustment without it needing to be said. But that is something that we have to now talk about, since I'm now not in the same place and I'm doing things a little bit differently. So yeah, those kinds of things matter. So making room for the new, what's new. And this is a new season for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to reset. It's a new season for us with kids. It's a new season for us with all kinds of things. And we have to reset.
Right.
And you have to be mindful enough to recognize that the things that you're going through, that they're not in isolation. You're in community, in relationship. And whenever you're in community, in relationship, your actions impact other people.
Yes.
You got to own that. You're like, well, it's just about me. Nothing is just about you. Nothing. No. It's just about you. Your actions and your behaviors, the things that you do, your needs, all of those things don't just impact you. They impact other people.
Mm-hmm. And once again, if you're mindful about that, then you're going to be working toward making sure that everybody's comfortable, and that everybody is heard in that situation. And then that's going to be a relationship that thrives. That's a relationship that you're going to be having effective communication. And then that is going to make sure that everybody in the relationship, everybody that's associated, as we talked about before, it includes your whole family.
Oh yeah, your whole family. It includes your whole family. It includes everyone.
Yes.
Anyone that's in relationship with you rides your waves.
Yes.
Let's just be honest. Anyone that is in relationship with you rides your waves. So as you transition, there are things that as you transition, the people that are in community with you and in relation, the people that are doing life with you, the people that are doing life with you, those people are influenced, they're impacted, and they are encompassed in whatever it is that you're doing. So your decisions and the things that you are doing, the changes that you're experiencing, they experience them with you.
Right.
And the key is just to make sure that you've given as much information as you possibly can so that they will understand. No one's blindsided, and everyone will understand exactly what this new phase in your life looks like.
Right.
And that's the reset. That's the reset. That's the adjustment that you make to the current situation to ensure that you're meeting the needs that are right here in front of us today.
And once you redefine those roles, especially when we're talking about exponentially how everything impacts everybody. So we're talking about family members now. You've defined those roles, and it makes it a little bit easier to protect your peace at home. Once the roles have been defined, everybody's clear about what their boundaries are. And you've created, remember we talked about creating boundaries without creating wars. And so you've established those, and there's no distance simply because you've set a standard for how, your house is going to be run. Loyalty to my spouse exceeds loyalty over everything else. So, I mean, I love my family, but my loyalty to my spouse is going to be the primary category that I'm trying to make sure that I'm maintaining and nourishing, et cetera. So we want people also to understand that it's going to be different based on every situation. But when we're talking about marriages, because we said we're not just talking about married couples, we're talking about people in general.
Right.
And so loyalty to your spouse as it relates to us must override loyalty to family. And so for me, that's super important. And then family needs to respect those boundaries. You're not going to be able to do and say and come and go when I have a wife like you may have done and said and came and went, before I got married. So all those things you need to have a conversation about. Don't be afraid to have the serious conversations so that you can actually make sure that the entire family is thriving.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, in doing that without guilt,
yeah,
and shame, and embarrassment. But I also want us to be mindful that there has to be adjustments and shifts on all sides of the entire equation. Because again, you can. If there's a way that you have been in relationship with people because you have another relationship or a different relationship with your spouse, it doesn't mean that you throw everything out.
Right.
Because again, you have to still be true and authentic to yourself and who you are. And if I enjoyed having this happen, then we have to figure out what does that look like now without me being the one that just says all of a sudden now nobody comes to the house, because that's not going to happen if that's something that I enjoy. I shouldn't have to give that up, or I shouldn't have to sacrifice that because you don't like it, or because it's not what you do with your family. That's one of those things that requires very honest, very true, very transparent conversation so that we can meet in the middle somewhere when those things happen and when that is a thing. And we've talked about communication. Again, you want to make sure that you talk about your dreams when you're doing your refresh and your reset. What are your dreams? Is it safe for you to share your dreams? Will they be weaponized? Will they be treated as though you're a failure if you don't meet it right away? Or are you in a situation where this refresh says, you know what, I want to try this thing and I need your love, I need your support. And if it doesn't work out, I need you to still be still my cheerleader. Right. Because I'm passionate about this and I don't need you throwing in my face that I failed.
Well, you need to know what they are too, so that you can be supportive. You don't need to dream in silence. So if you have some things, and you don't need to be afraid that you're not going to be able to accomplish it. So that all goes back to having some depth to your relationship. And so you're able to share the dreams no matter how wild they are. I came home the other day and told you about this house, and because I want to be able to do that and provide you with a place to have the conferences or have people come for a retreat, et cetera. We hadn't talked about it, but I said, okay, I need to get you on board with this dream. I need for you to see it the way I see it. Yeah. We want to be on one accord as it relates to that stuff. So those things are important. Merge your individual dreams into a united destiny. Yeah. So that's good. And then tools to create vision boards, monthly check-ins, and yearly retreats. Yeah. We're consistent with definitely our yearly retreats. the monthly check-ins, the vision board wound up being the refrigerator, just listing out what it is that needed to transpire. But everybody's going to be different. It may be your bathroom mirror. It may be, be a clipboard. It may be a notebook, whatever it is.
Right.
But establish some routines and some rituals that are going to enable you to make sure your relationship is continuing to thrive.
Yeah. And ask if there needs to be a reset, because you may not be the one that needs it. So sometimes you may want to say, hey, this isn't feeling right. Let's do a reset. Be man or woman enough.
Yes.
Be concerned enough, be engaged and in tune enough to realize when something is shifting and you may need to come together and address it. Don't be afraid to do that. When you notice that there's a shift in the atmosphere, you notice that something is changing, notice that you're going down a different road, or that there's a path that it looks like now this is happening, or it's just, let's just say it's just gone straight routine. It's now you're in a habit of marriage, not in a relationship in your marriage. You're in a habit of marriage. When you start living in that habit space, it's time for you to hit that reset button.
Right.
Come back to the table, figure out your whys again. Why are we doing this? Why did we do this? Are those whys still the same? And then figure out, what are we going to do now to move this forward in a way that allows us both to thrive and feel loved, feel cared for, feel safe, feel respected, and feel like we are responsible for the success of this relationship.
Okay. It's a lot. That's a lot for the people to deal with.
That is a lot. That's a lot. So let's give them this. You can go ahead and hit that. Hit the reset.
Okay. Acronym RESET. The R stands for reevaluate what matters.
Yep. So go back to look at where you are right now and determine what matters now, because it may be different than it was when you started.
Very likely it's different.
Yeah, very likely it's different. So what matters now?
Right.
So you can be working on the right things at the right time.
And then E is establish healthy boundaries.
Yes. Even in your marriage, you need boundaries. Even in your marriage, you need space. Even in your marriage, you need time. Even in your marriage, you need to be in a place where you can still honor who you are as an individual and see this as the joining of two individuals into something magical or something spectacular, as opposed to having to be one person where you adopt all of him or he adopts all of you.
Right.
That's not what this is. We didn't jump into a melting pot, and it wasn't two halves coming together to make a whole. It's two whole grown people coming together to make two whole grown people function as though they're one. And you function as though they're one, not by disappearing.
Right.
Each individual disappearing, but for each of you standing up in who you are, and then bringing those good qualities to the table and the bad ones as well, so you can work through them.
Right. And then S, speak needs without blame.
Yes. So that is going back to your I statements, making sure that you say, I feel, and then you talk about what the behavior makes you feel like.
Right.
And you name the behavior, not blame the person. So it's about naming the behavior, not blaming the person. So you make sure, and even though it's something that they've done, they may not realize the impact. So take a moment to be very thoughtful about how you are speaking your words, using your I statements, talk about what you feel, and then talk about what you need. I feel this, and what I need is this.
Then embrace new goals. We talked about that earlier too, about making sure that you're sharing your dreams and your visions.
Yep.
So embrace new goals together.
And figure out what they are right now. Because if your goal was, when you got married, you were in an apartment and you said, you know what, our goal is to get a house. Well, you got a house.
Maybe time to downsize.
Yeah. So now what's a new goal? Or, I want to make sure you got a car. Well, you got a car. So now what? So I want to make sure the kids get out of the house and the kids are all grown, and now they're grown and they got their own kids. What is your new thing? Right. What is your new goal? Don't be afraid to set new goals based on your current season, because again, you can't hold on to the old goals, especially once you've accomplished them already.
And then lastly, in the acronym RESET is trust. Trust the process again.
Yeah. So trust the process again. And that means trusting each other to go through the process, but then trust that it is a process. Reset is a process. It is something that you are required to do so that you can stay fresh, so that you can refresh your relationship, So you reset to refresh your relationship.
Okay. And some people may say, you know what, we have to refresh every month.
Yep.
Not a problem. That's a non-issue. Because things change and the relationship is dynamic and fluid. So you may have to reset often.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to do that either.
And remember, it's a process. So you walk through the process, reevaluate what matters, establish healthy boundaries, speak needs, not blame, embrace new goals together, and trust the process. Just know that it is a process. It is definitely a process. You can't grow together if one of you is still standing still emotionally. So you got to be engaged and involved in the reset process.
Okay.
All right, let's give them this challenge and get on out of here.
All right. So do a relationship reset date night. Discuss what needs to change. What do each of you want more of? And then lastly, what boundary or goal do we need to create together?
Yep. So if you don't know how to do it and you're like, oh, you guys keep talking about this reset, we've given you the steps. But in this challenge, it'll give you actually an activity that you can do together. Sit down and do it. Sit down and do it. We don't come up with these challenges just because we want to end on a challenge.
Right.
We do it because we think that it would be helpful for you in your relationship. So what I'm going to say to you again, let's run through it. Do a relationship reset. Just what needs to change? What do we want more of in this relationship in this season? And what boundaries or goals do we need to create together? Because again, the goals that you may be holding on to may be ones that you've already accomplished. And that may be why things are so mundane. So again, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us.
And we look forward to the next episode.
Thank you. Take care.